The Galactic Council's space station floated like a silver jewel in the endless void, a hub for civilizations that spanned thousands of light years. Its halls were massive, lined with crystalline panels that shifted colors as ships docked or departed. Representatives from countless species moved through the corridors, their forms and voices as varied as the stars themselves. Some had multiple limbs, others had translucent skin that glowed with internal light. All were intelligent, all were advanced, but none quite like the humans. Humans were new to the Council, and many of the older species had already formed opinions. Some considered humans primitive, their technology simple compared to theirs. Others found them fascinating, curious creatures capable of surprising innovation. But there was one thing all agreed on. Humans were loud, bold, and unpredictable. Kara, a young human diplomat, entered the main chamber for the first time. She was shorter than most alien delegates, her hair tied in a simple braid and her uniform neat but unassuming. She carried no weapons, no devices more advanced than what any standard ship carried. But what she did have, perhaps, was the human gift of observation. The chamber was enormous. Triangular platforms rose like steps from the center, each one holding the representatives of a different species. The floor beneath them shimmered, displaying holographic charts of galactic trade routes, energy flux readings, and diplomatic alerts. Voices of dozens of languages overlapped, creating a hum of sound that Kara found oddly soothing. At the center of the chamber sat the Council President, a tall being with 8 flowing arms and eyes that could see in 4 spectrums. His voice, when he spoke, was a vibration that resonated through the room rather than sound waves alone. "Welcome, delegates," he intoned. "Today, we convene to discuss the rising tensions in the Orion Expanse and the resource disputes on GalacticPrime. Let reason, not passion, guide our decisions." Humans were expected to participate like any other race, and they did, usually loudly. Humans argued, gestured, interrupted politely but persistently, and always seemed to make their points heard. Kara, however, did something different. She simply listened. As debates grew heated, she tilted her head slightly, her eyes scanning patterns in the speaker's movements. She noticed how the Zorathians paused before making decisions, how the Trilaxians' skin shifted color when they lied, and how the Valari tried to dominate the floor with booming voices. Most importantly, she noticed what humans usually did in these situations. They would shout, insist, or rush in. But she remained quiet. Across the room, whispers spread. "She is not speaking," one alien hissed. "Is she ignoring protocol?" "She listens too much," another replied. "But listen, humans are dangerous when they stay quiet." It was a saying older council members had repeated quietly among themselves. When humans go quiet, pay attention. The origin of the phrase was lost to history, but its warning remained clear. Human silence was rare and often indicated thought, strategy, or action about to follow. As the debate over GalacticPrime's mining rights grew more intense, Kara leaned back slightly and took careful notes. The other humans in the delegation occasionally chimed in, their voices breaking the chamber's tension. But Kara remained a calm presence. She observed without judgment, noted patterns others missed, and waited. The aliens began to sense something unusual. The Zorathians, usually confident and brash, faltered under her quiet observation. The Trilaxians, masters of negotiation, found themselves uncertain, unsure if Kara's silence meant agreement, defiance, or calculation. Even the Valari, who were nearly unmatched in intimidation, paused. Finally, President Kale raised his 8 arms, signaling silence. "We have observed unusual behavior among the human delegates, specifically the quiet of one representative. Let it be known that this council will monitor this closely." Murmurs spread across the room. It was decided that a new system would be created, a special alert for when humans stopped speaking or acting. It was not meant as punishment but as a precaution. Silence from humans could mean preparation, plotting, or insight that no other species could yet understand. After the session, Kara left the chamber and walked through the observation decks. She looked out at the stars, bright points of light scattered across the darkness like scattered gems. Humans had long wondered about their place in the universe, and here, among the galaxy's most advanced beings, that question felt larger than ever. Back in her quarters, Kara reflected on what had just occurred. She knew humans were underestimated, Most alien species assumed humans were impulsive, emotional, and unpredictable, and in many ways they were. But humans also had patience, intuition, and a rare ability to adapt. Quietness, she realized, was one of their greatest tools. It could observe, assess, and wait for the perfect moment to act. Meanwhile, the Council worked quickly to implement the human silence alert. Holographic panels lit up across the station whenever humans' vocal activity dropped below a certain threshold, and visual indicators tracked gestures, movements, and other forms of communication. Aliens debated endlessly about thresholds, probabilities, and what silent humans might be thinking. But one thing was clear: the galaxy would never ignore a quiet human again. As the weeks passed, the alert system was tested multiple times. Each time humans fell silent during council sessions, alarms triggered. Aliens would rush to observe, sometimes fearing rebellion or sabotage, only to discover that humans were doing what they did best: thinking, analyzing, and preparing. Kara, in particular, became a subject of fascination. She was quiet for hours during simulations, but when she finally acted, her plans revealed insights no alien could anticipate. Ships were maneuvered flawlessly, disputes resolved without conflict, and strategies emerged that left other species scrambling to understand them. Yet, despite the admiration, some aliens remained cautious. Quiet humans may signal great ideas, one elder remarked, but they may also signal dangerous intent. Their thoughts are unknowable, and that is unsettling. Humans themselves were aware of the attention. They did not act out of malice, but from principle. In their history, decisive silence had often meant survival. In countless conflicts on Earth, those who paused to assess situations before acting often prevailed. That instinct, deeply embedded in their nature, extended into the galactic stage. One evening, as the council chamber emptied and the stars outside shimmered against the dark, Kara stood alone. She considered her people, their strengths, their weaknesses, and the potential they held. She understood why the Council had created the alert. It was not meant to suppress humans, but to recognize that when humans went quiet, something important was unfolding, and Kara, quietly, began to plan. Because in the vast, unpredictable galaxy, quiet humans were never passive. They were observers, analysts, and sometimes the deciding factor between chaos and order. The Council had been warned. The galaxy would soon learn why. And so, as the station drifted silently among the stars, a single thought echoed through Kara's mind. The calm before the storm is often the most powerful moment of all. The alert system would beep, flash and stir curiosity among thousands of observers. But humans, as always, were already one step ahead. They waited, they watched, and when the time came, they would act, because the universe had yet to see the full potential of a quiet human. Months had passed since the Council created the human silence alert. Across the galaxy, whispers about quiet humans had begun to spread. Many species still did not fully understand why silence was dangerous or powerful. Humans, meanwhile, went about their work calmly, unaware of how closely they were being watched. Commander Elias led the human expedition to the uncharted system known as Virelia. The system had drawn the attention of several species after energy readings spiked near its center. What lay at the core of Virelia was unknown, but the Council had sent humans and a joint alien team to investigate. Elias stood on the deck of the starship Endurance, gazing at the swirling colors of Virelia's nebula. He was a tall, composed man, his hair streaked with gray and his face lined with years of space travel. Around him, the crew of humans prepared for the mission. They were experts in their fields, scientists, pilots, engineers, but they shared something deeper: trust in each other and patience in the unknown. "This anomaly is unlike anything we've studied," Elias said softly. "We proceed with caution, but we do not stop. Observation is as important as action." His words were calm, measured. There was no bravado, no need to impress. The aliens aboard the ship, representatives from the Council's more cautious species, watched in curiosity. Many were used to humans shouting, arguing, or taking immediate risks. Elias and his crew did none of that. As the Endurance approached the center of the system, sensors detected a massive, swirling energy field. It was alive, or at least it behaved as if it were. Waves of light pulsed like a heartbeat, shifting unpredictably. Ships from other species had arrived days earlier, but it only hovered at the edge, afraid to approach. Elias ordered the ship into position, slowly moving closer. "Maintain formation," he instructed. "Observe the fluctuations. Record everything. No sudden maneuvers," the alien scientists whispered among themselves. "They are so calm," one said. "No panic, no hesitation." Then it happened. The humans went quiet. Not just silence in speech, but in action. The communication channels fell silent. Their instruments operated with minimal interference, and the crew moved with careful, almost imperceptible precision. It was as if the entire human team had entered a state of focused observation. Immediately, the Council's human silence alert triggered. On the distant space station, lights blinked red and alarms hummed. Messages flashed across multiple consoles. Human silence detected in Virelia system. All observers stand by. Panic stirred among the aliens. Many species had never experienced human quietness like this. Silence could mean fear, yes, but it could also mean planning. Dangerous, clever, unpredictable planning. A scout ship piloted by a small team of Zerathians was dispatched to observe the humans up close. As they approached, they saw the human crew spread out in calculated positions around the energy anomaly. Each human moved slowly, deliberately, scanning the fields of light with instruments the aliens could barely comprehend. The Zerathian captain reported back to the Council. "They are doing nothing. They are simply watching. But the pattern is precise. Something is happening." It was unlike any mission observation the aliens had ever seen. Their own teams would have rushed forward, fired probes indiscriminately, or retreated entirely. But humans did none of that. They waited. They watched. And they learned. Inside the Endurance, Elias moved quietly between stations, observing his crew. "Keep scanning," he said. "Notice the fluctuations. Every pulse tells us something. Wait for the right moment." His calm voice, soft and unassuming, carried authority. The human crew responded immediately, each member performing their task without hesitation. The aliens aboard the ship whispered among themselves, clearly unsettled. One Valari scientist finally spoke. "Why do they not act? Why no panic, no fear?" Another alien, a Trilaxian observer, replied. "Because they understand something we do not. They sense the situation differently." Hours passed. The anomaly's energy pulsed unpredictably, growing more intense. Ships from other species began to jitter at the edge, their sensors overloading, their captains growing anxious. The humans, however, remained calm, and silence enveloped them like a shield. Then, unexpectedly, a small energy ripple moved toward the Endurance. The alien teams panicked, their alarms screaming, while the humans simply adjusted their positions and instruments. The ripple passed without causing harm. What did they do? The Zerathian captain asked, almost in disbelief. They predicted it?" Elias observed the anomaly closely. He gestured to the energy readings on his console. "Not prediction," he said quietly. "Understanding. Anticipation comes from careful observation, not guesswork." The aliens realized something profound. The human silence was not inaction. It was strategy. Every pause, every still moment, allowed the humans to analyze patterns that no one else could. Their quietness was a tool, a weapon of perception that the galaxy had not seen before. As night fell on the nearby planets, the humans continued their work. They documented energy readings, mapped pulse patterns, and coordinated their actions silently, using gestures, eyes, and subtle signals that the aliens could not interpret. The more the aliens watched, the more they understood. When humans go quiet, they are not passive. They are preparing for action that others cannot yet see. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, the humans acted. A synchronized maneuver of probes and small drones surrounded the anomaly, stabilizing the energy fields. The anomaly pulsed in response but did not erupt destructively. Humans had neutralized what other species had feared impossible. The Council's alert system blinked off. Relief and awe spread through the alien teams. They approached the humans cautiously. "Your silence," one Valari engineer said, "saved the mission. We would have failed without it." Elias nodded simply. "Silence is not emptiness. It is preparation, observation, understanding. When you rush, you miss what is important." The aliens were astonished. They had witnessed firsthand what the Council had warned. Human silence was dangerous, not because it signaled fear, but because it signaled competence, patience, and strategic thinking beyond any other species' abilities. Back at the Council's space station, Reports arrived detailing the mission's outcome. The alert system had triggered multiple times, each instance marking a moment of intense observation and preparation by humans. Members of the council debated the implications. "The humans are not merely loud or impulsive," one elder remarked. "Their quiet moments are a form of intelligence we cannot replicate." "Dangerous intelligence," another added cautiously. "We must observe closely whenever humans fall silent. It could mean disaster or genius." Meanwhile, Kara's reports from Earth arrived. They noted patterns in human behavior that correlated with extreme outcomes. Humans who observed first and acted second often succeeded where others failed. The council slowly began to recognize a truth they had ignored. Human quietness was not weakness. It was a sign of power. On the Endurance, Elias gathered his crew. "We have completed the first stage," he said quietly. "Remember this, we do not act rashly. Silence is not emptiness. Silence is our advantage. The galaxy may not understand it yet, but it will." The humans celebrated quietly, sharing a simple meal in the mess hall. No loud cheers, no proclamations, just calm satisfaction. The aliens aboard the ship, however, could not hide their awe. Even the most seasoned captains and scientists whispered to one another about the strange, powerful nature of human quiet. As the Endurance prepared to leave the Viralia system, the anomaly stabilized. Its pulses slowed, its light dimmed, and it seemed almost content. Humans had not destroyed it, nor had they dominated it. They had understood it, and in doing so, they had taught the galaxy a lesson. When humans go quiet, the universe should pay attention. The journey back to the council station was quiet as well. Humans worked, analyzed data, and rested. Aliens observed every movement, still uneasy, still impressed. The human silence alert had once again proven its worth. It was not a warning against destruction, but a signal that extraordinary human action was unfolding, often in ways no one could anticipate. As the stars passed by the windows of the Endurance, Elias looked at his crew. "We are small in this galaxy," he said softly, "but our minds are sharp and our patience is strong. Quiet is a weapon if we know how to use it, and we will use it well." The aliens, watching silently, began to understand. Humans were more than their noise, more than their boldness, more than the council had anticipated. Their quiet moments were a power the galaxy had never seen. And somewhere deep in the council chamber, the alert system blinked, waiting for the next quiet human to signal the next extraordinary moment. The galaxy had learned a new lesson. Do not underestimate silence. Especially human silence. The Viralia anomaly shimmered like a living jewel in the darkness of space, its energy pulses shifting unpredictably. Ships from many species hovered cautiously at the edge of the system, hesitant to move closer. The council's observers monitored the situation from afar, their alarms constantly blinking whenever the human silence triggered the alert. Inside the human starship Endurance, Commander Elias and his crew moved with quiet precision. Every human's action was deliberate, calculated, and coordinated. The alien crew members watched, confused and amazed. Where they expected chaos, humans displayed perfect calm. Where they expected noise, humans operated in quiet understanding. Elias studied the anomaly carefully. "It is not random," he said softly. "The pulses have a rhythm. Patterns are hidden within the chaos. We must listen, even if the universe seems to scream around us." The human scientists leaned over their instruments, silent, their eyes scanning streams of data. Small gestures, tilts of heads, taps on consoles communicated more than words could. Aliens aboard the ship whispered among themselves. "They are communicating without speaking," a Trilaxian engineer said. "How is that possible?" A sudden surge of energy radiated from the anomaly. The alien ships at the perimeter shuddered and even retreated slightly. Panic spread among the non-human crews. Their sensors could barely handle the intensity, and some species argued about abandoning the mission entirely. The humans, however, did not flinch. They simply observed, their silence deeper now, almost reverent. Every movement had purpose, every pause had meaning. Commander Elias instructed the ship's systems to adjust gradually, sending out probes in a precise, slow pattern that matched the anomaly's pulse. One of the alien captains finally spoke, trembling. They are not afraid, but they are doing nothing." "Is this strategy?" Elias glanced at the alien captain calmly. "It is understanding. Sometimes observing is stronger than acting." Hours passed. The anomaly's energy continued to shift, pulsating with increasing intensity. The humans' silent coordination allowed them to track changes in real time. They were learning, predicting, and responding without noise, without frantic action, without error. Each movement of the anomaly was mapped, calculated, and recorded. The aliens began to grasp what the Council had warned. Human silence did not mean fear. It did not mean weakness. It meant preparation, observation, and intelligence that could not be easily measured. Finally, Elias gathered the crew in the central control room. "We know the pattern now," he said softly. "It is testing us, not trying to destroy, but to understand if we are ready. Other species see danger. We see opportunity." The human scientists nodded in quiet agreement. Their observations had revealed subtle fluctuations in the anomaly's energy, tiny differences in the pulse, imperceptible to any alien sensors. Humans had an ability to sense patterns where others only saw randomness. Elias turned to the aliens on board. "Do not fear this anomaly. Respect it. Understand it. It reacts to fear, aggression, and impatience. None of those are our ways," a Valari engineer asked cautiously. "But what if it reacts violently? Humans, you are small compared to it." Elias smiled faintly. "Size is irrelevant. Understanding matters more. Our silence allows us to understand. Our patience is stronger than force." As the humans continued their quiet strategy, the anomaly shifted again, this time sending out tendrils of energy toward the ship. The aliens panicked. Their instinct was to fire weapons or retreat. The humans instead adjusted the ship's shield subtly and rotated sensors in a pattern that harmonized with the energy waves. It was a delicate dance. Every human movement was minimal, efficient, and perfectly timed. The anomaly's tendrils no longer threatened the ship. Instead, they seemed to flow around it, almost as if curious, observing, testing the human's intent. The alien observers could not comprehend it. "They are dancing with it," one muttered. "How can silence achieve this?" Elias explained quietly to his crew. "We do not fight blindly. We do not act without thought. Every pause, every silence is a decision. We wait for the right moment to act, and only then." As the hours stretched into the Varalian night, the humans achieved something no alien crew had ever done. They communicated with the anomaly without words, without weapons, without aggression. Their quietness, their still observation, became a form of interaction. The anomaly responded, slowing its pulses, softening its energy waves, almost as if it recognized their understanding. In one small but decisive movement, the humans released a network of microprobes. These probes transmitted energy readings directly into the anomaly, creating a feedback loop that stabilized the chaotic pulses. The alien ships had never seen such precision. What could have taken decades to calculate using raw data alone, humans accomplished in a matter of hours, all through observation, patience, and quiet coordination. The Council's alert system blared across space stations watching the mission. Red lights flashed. Reports streamed in. Human silence continues. Exceptional performance observed. Unpredictable patterns detected. The aliens aboard the Endurance were awestruck. They began to realize that silence was not just a pause in activity. It was a strategic tool. Humans could gather information, process it intuitively, and act at the perfect moment, all while appearing still, calm, and quiet. Commander Elias gathered his crew once more. "This is the lesson," he said softly. "Quiet is not absence. It is presence. Our minds work in the silence. Our strategy lives there. Other species will never understand it fully, but that does not matter. We do." For the next several hours, the anomaly remained stable. The humans continued to study it, adjusting probes, recalibrating instruments, and recording data silently. The alien observers watched in growing respect and fear. They understood finally why the Council had created the human silence alert. Silence meant action. Silence meant insight. Silence meant power. At one point, a Trilaxian engineer asked hesitantly, "Humans, do you fear failure?" Elias shook his head gently. "Fear is noise. Noise clouds judgment. We respect danger. We do not panic. That is the difference." By the time the Endurance prepared to leave the anomaly, the humans had collected a wealth of knowledge. The anomaly's behavior was now predictable within limits, and humans had demonstrated an ability to interact safely and effectively where other species had only failed or fled. As the ship turned to depart, Elias addressed his crew quietly. "We leave with more than data. We leave with proof. Quiet is not weakness. It is the tool of the prepared. Remember this lesson, and the galaxy will never underestimate humans again." The alien observers, still processing what they had witnessed, whispered among themselves. "They are remarkable," one said. Their silence. "It is a weapon and a shield." Back at the council station, reports arrived detailing the mission. The anomaly had been studied without incident, all thanks to the humans' quiet strategy. Members of the council debated the implications. "The humans are unpredictable," an elder remarked, "but now we see that silence is not mere inaction. It is deliberate and we cannot ignore it." "Dangerous, perhaps," another added. "We must respect it, monitor it, and learn from it, but never assume control." Meanwhile, Commander Elias and his team reviewed their data. The humans did not celebrate with fanfare. Their satisfaction was quiet, subtle, and steady. The success of the mission was not in showing off power, but in understanding, patience, and the disciplined application of silence. The anomaly remained in Virelia, stabilized but alive. Humans had not conquered it. They had communicated with it in a way no other species could, and in doing so, they had shown the galaxy a truth. When humans go quiet, it is never simple observation. It is strategy. It is awareness. It is preparation for something extraordinary. The Council's alert system, though still active, had become a mark of respect. Whenever humans fell silent, every species would take note. Silence was no longer a pause in action. It was a signal of power, intellect, and imminent brilliance. And for humans like Elias and Kara, the lesson was clear. Quiet was more than absence of sound. It was a tool, a weapon, a strategy that allowed them to achieve the impossible. The galaxy had only begun to understand, and the humans quietly continued their work. Because in the universe, silence could be stronger than noise, and humans had mastered it. The Virelia anomaly shimmered calmly now, no longer violent, but its presence was powerful. Almost alive, ships from multiple species hovered at the edge of the system, their crews tense, watching the humans with a mixture of fear, awe, and confusion. The Council's human silence alert remained active, blinking steadily as if reminding the galaxy that human quietness was not mere absence. It was extraordinary action in disguise. Commander Elias stood on the bridge of the Endurance, observing the anomaly through the main viewport. The energy field pulsed gently, yet it radiated intelligence. Humans had learned to interact with it, not control it. Every probe, every sensor, every adjustment the human crew made had been deliberate, thoughtful, and cautious. "The anomaly is responding to us," Elias said quietly, "not with force but with awareness. It tests us not to destroy, but to see if we can understand." His words were calm yet carried immense weight. The alien observers exchanged nervous glances. For them, testing usually meant confrontation or danger, but humans understood that testing could also mean communication, insight, and patience. The anomaly pulsed again, sending waves of energy toward the Endurance. Alien crews panicked. Some ships fired weapons instinctively while others withdrew. Humans, however, did nothing rash. They adjusted the microprobe's positions and recalibrated the ship's shields, subtle and precise. The anomaly's waves flowed around the ship, almost as if it were observing whether humans could respond without fear or aggression. A Trilaxian scientist whispered, "They are not attacking it. They are listening." "Yes," a Valari engineer replied. "But how? How can silence interact with something this massive?" Elias spoke softly to his crew. "Do not assume control. Do not impose your will. Watch, learn, and respond carefully. The anomaly measures intent, not strength. Aggression will fail. Calm understanding will succeed." Hours passed. The anomaly pulsed in rhythmic waves, testing the humans' patience. Observing their silence, examining their decisions. The alien observers could hardly follow the humans' actions. Each probe movement, each sensor adjustment seemed almost invisible, yet collectively they were orchestrating a precise, perfect strategy. Finally, the anomaly shifted. Its energy waves no longer tested the humans' patience. Instead, a voice-like resonance filled the Endurance, not in words, but in meaning. Images, emotions, and knowledge were transmitted directly into the human minds. It was a test, but also a revelation. The humans understood immediately. This anomaly had not been hostile. It was a sentinel. It observed civilizations to determine if they were capable of cooperation, understanding, and adaptability without domination. Most species had failed. Many approached with weapons, manipulation, or force. But humans approached with patience, listening, and calm reasoning. Commander Elias nodded silently to himself. "This is what we were meant to discover," he said softly. "We are the first to understand without fear, without domination." The alien observers were stunned. "It communicates with them, but not the rest of us," a Zorathian muttered. "Why? Why humans?" One Trilaxian engineer spoke quietly, almost in awe. "Because humans listen in silence. They do not rush. They do not assume control. They wait, and in waiting, they understand more than any of us ever could." The humans worked together, not by shouting orders or asserting dominance, but through subtle signals, gestures, and a shared calm understanding. Their silent coordination allowed them to integrate the anomaly's knowledge into their instruments. Microprobes recorded everything with perfect timing, capturing patterns, energy flows, and hidden fluctuations. As the humans observed, the anomaly shifted once again, its pulses revealing the history of the Virelia system. It had monitored civilizations for millennia, watching which species could approach it with intelligence, patience, and cooperation. Countless advanced species had failed either by fear, aggression, or arrogance. Humans, though young as a galactic presence, succeeded where others could not. The Council's alert system blinked furiously as reports streamed in. Human silence had once again marked a pivotal moment. Every species watching remotely realized that the humans' quiet moments were not passive. They were deliberate and powerful. They signaled action that others could not yet see. Elias addressed his crew quietly. "We have learned more than we could have imagined. This anomaly is not a threat. It is a test, and we have passed." The humans began their return preparations. While other species marveled, humans collected data efficiently, silently, and with careful respect. They understood that their calm observation had been the key to success. Not bold words, not displays of power, not arguments or aggression, just patience, focus, and silence. On board the Endurance, Kara, who had joined the team remotely via holographic link, reviewed the findings. "The anomaly is a mirror," she explained quietly. "It reflects the intent of those who approach it. Aggression returns danger. Calm observation returns knowledge. Silence is not absence, it is action." Back at the council station, the revelations sparked intense debate. "The human silence is not merely unusual," one elder stated. "It is deliberate. It is a signal of capability that other species cannot match. We cannot ignore it." Another council member added, "We must respect it. Every silent human is a reminder that caution, observation, and understanding are sometimes stronger than weapons or speed." Elias's team returned with unprecedented data. They did not brag. They did not boast. Their satisfaction was quiet, reflective, and steady. They had passed the test not by domination but by understanding, listening, and acting with precision when the moment demanded. The galaxy began to change its perception of humans. No longer were they seen merely as bold, unpredictable creatures. Now they were recognized as strategic, adaptable, and capable of extraordinary insight, especially when quiet. The Council's human silence alert became not only a warning but a mark of respect. Whenever humans went silent, the galaxy knew something significant was unfolding. Elias gathered his crew one last time before leaving the system. "Remember this," he said quietly. "Silence is more than stillness. It is strategy, observation, understanding. Many will never see it, but when you act from it, your actions will shape events far beyond expectation." The anomaly, now calm, seemed almost to acknowledge the human's success. Its energy pulses softened, no longer testing or challenging. Humans had not conquered it. They had harmonized with it. They had achieved something no other species could: understanding through quiet. The Council, reviewing the mission reports, began to appreciate the value of human silence on a deeper level. It was not fear or weakness. It was preparation, insight, and unparalleled capability. Every species, from the smallest trader to the mightiest warship, understood that humans' quiet moments were a signal of exceptional action. And across the galaxy, the legend of human silence grew. Aliens began to study humans not for their weapons or technology, but for their discipline, their patience and their ability to act strategically in quiet observation. It became a reminder. When humans go quiet, extraordinary things are possible. On the Endurance, Elias and his crew prepared to return to the Council Station. The human team moved in calm coordination, each step purposeful. Silence was their tool, their advantage, and their identity. In a universe full of noise, chaos, and constant assertion, humans had demonstrated that listening, waiting, and understanding could be more powerful than anything else. The Anomalies' lessons would echo through the galaxy for generations. Humans had shown that patience, careful observation, and disciplined quiet were strengths no other species could replicate. And in doing so, they reinforced the reason the Council had created the Human Silence Alert. When humans go quiet, it is never just a pause. It is a signal that something extraordinary is unfolding. As the Endurance drifted toward the Council Station, the crew remained calm. Their silence was their strength. Their understanding was their weapon. And the galaxy was finally beginning to see why humans were unlike any other species. Because in the vast expanse of space, while others rushed, shouted, or panicked, humans understood a simple truth. Silence, when used wisely, could change everything, and the Anomaly, quiet and glowing, seemed to acknowledge it. The Endurance returned to the Council Station as quietly as it had operated throughout the Virelia mission. Commander Elias and his team were tired but satisfied. They had not merely survived. They had succeeded in a way no other species could have imagined, and their quiet, deliberate actions had left a lasting mark on the galaxy. The council chamber was abuzz with discussion when the humans arrived. Representatives from dozens of species debated passionately, their voices rising and falling, yet all turned to watch the humans enter. The Human Silence Alert had been active for the past weeks, alerting the council each time the humans acted or paused in the Virelia system. Now the humans stood calmly at the center of the room, their silence commanding attention. President Kale raised his arms, signaling the chamber to settle. "Representatives," he began. "The humans have returned from Virelia with findings of immense importance. They have interacted with an anomaly that has resisted all others for centuries, and they have done so not through force, not through intimidation, but through patience, understanding, and quiet strategy." Whispers swept across the chamber. Even the most seasoned diplomats and scientists could not hide their amazement. The anomaly had not been defeated. It had been understood, and the human silence had been central to that success. Kara stepped forward, her presence calm yet commanding. She addressed the council in a quiet, measured voice. "We did not act recklessly. We observed. We analyzed. And when the time was right, we responded. Silence was not emptiness. It was action and preparation. We hope the galaxy can learn the value of patience as we have." The council listened in silence. Some members struggled to comprehend such an approach. For most species, action was measured in speed, aggression, or force. For humans, action was measured in understanding and timing. Silence, they realized, was a deliberate tool, an instrument of insight and control. One elder Zarathian delegate spoke. "We have underestimated your kind. Your silence, it is not fear. It is power. We have observed it now, and we cannot ignore it." The council moved quickly to formalize the lessons of Virelia. The Human Silence Alert would now serve as an official warning system across all council operations. Whenever humans went quiet, representatives from every species would be informed, not as a threat but as recognition of something extraordinary about to unfold. Humans, as always, did not seek fame or glory. Their satisfaction was quiet, subtle, and calm. They did not shout or demand attention. Instead, they returned to their studies, quietly refining their understanding of the anomaly, recording patterns, and preparing for future missions. The aliens, however, could not hide their respect. The Volari engineers studied the humans' methods, trying to understand how such silence could yield such results. The Trilaxians debated the implications in hushed tones, and the Zorathians, who had once dismissed humans as impulsive and reckless, now spoke of them with reverence. The anomaly itself, though distant, had changed as well. Its pulses, once erratic and chaotic, now radiated a steady rhythm. It had tested humans and found them capable of understanding and cooperation in a way that no other species had achieved. Humans had not conquered it. They had harmonized with it. And the galaxy would remember that lesson. Elias gathered his crew in the ship's observation deck, looking out at the stars that stretched endlessly around the station. "This is just the beginning," he said quietly. "Many will never understand the value of quiet observation. But that does not matter. Our strength lies in patience, in preparation, and in knowing when to act. The galaxy may not always see it, but our actions will speak for themselves." Kara nodded, her eyes reflecting the distant glow of stars. "Silence is a form of power," she said, "and humans have mastered it. We do not need to boast or show our strength. The universe will notice in its own time." Across the galaxy, the lessons of Viralia spread. Traders, explorers, and diplomats began to pay attention to human silence. Wars were avoided because humans observed first. Negotiations succeeded because humans listened more than they argued. Even the most technologically advanced species began to recognize that strategy, patience, and quiet understanding could be more effective than weapons or speed. At the council station, the human silence alert became a symbol of respect. No longer was it merely a warning of potential danger. It was a recognition of human brilliance, patience, and foresight. Whenever a human delegate paused or remained silent, the galaxy understood that something important was unfolding. Years later, Commander Elias and Kara became mentors to a new generation of humans and aliens alike. They taught the value of observation, patience, and calm strategy. Their lessons were simple but profound. Noise is not always power. Action is not always immediate. True strength often lies in understanding before acting. The legacy of silence became part of human identity across the galaxy. Young humans trained to observe, analyze, and act with precision. The galaxy watched closely, knowing that when humans went quiet, something remarkable was about to happen. Even among the Council's most skeptical members, respect for humans grew. No longer were they seen as impulsive or reckless. Now they were recognized as strategic, capable, and quietly brilliant. Silence was not a weakness, it was a sign of intelligence, courage, and foresight. Back on Earth, stories of the humans' Viralia mission became legendary. Humans remembered the lessons of patience, quiet observation, and timing. They understood that their unique strength lay not only in innovation and courage, but also in their ability to act strategically in silence. Elias and Kara watched from the Council Station's observation deck as new missions were planned. New explorers sent into uncharted space. Humans were quietly involved in every stage, ensuring that knowledge, patience, and careful observation guided their actions. The galaxy had learned its lesson. When humans go quiet, extraordinary events are about to unfold, and the Council's human silence alert, once a simple precaution, became a symbol of human capability. Across light years and star systems, every species now knew that silence from humans was not emptiness, not fear, not weakness. It was strategy. It was preparation. It was brilliance in its quietest form. Elias turned to Kara one final time. "The galaxy will never underestimate humans again," he said quietly. Kara smiled, her gaze steady. "They will respect what they cannot predict, and that is enough." In the years that followed, countless civilizations learned the truth. Human silence had prevented wars, solved complex mysteries, and averted crises. Humans had shown that patience, observation, and calm reasoning were as powerful as any weapon or technology. The anomaly in Viralia remained a silent sentinel, a reminder of what humans could achieve through understanding and quiet action. And the galaxy, guided by the lessons of the human silence alert, knew this. When humans go quiet, it is never ordinary. It is never simple. It is extraordinary. The stars stretched endlessly beyond the Council Station, shining brightly in the darkness. Humanity, quiet but powerful, had left its mark across the galaxy, and the legend of their silence, the calm before the storm, would inspire generations for centuries to come. Because humans had mastered a secret the galaxy could never fully understand. In a universe full of noise, true power often lies in silence.